Hello, so today's video I'm going to be talking about Basilisk by Graham Masterton. This is a recent book that I got from my horror book box that I get each month. And if you'd seen my unboxing video, I think it was my last one, oh no, it's the one before. If you'd seen that video, you would have seen that I was really excited to get this book. I have read a couple books by James Masterton, and he's very quickly becoming one of my favourite authors. I really enjoy his horror novels. Yeah, I really enjoyed the other ones I read by him. So when I saw that we got this book in the book subscription box, I was super happy. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like this one because I really liked all of the other books I've read by him. So yeah, I literally read this book within 2 days. I read it really quickly. It might be up there as one of my favourite books I've read by him. It's definitely a 5-star read. It was a really interesting premise when I read it. When I read the back of the book when I first opened the box, it sounded really interesting. So you are following Nathan Underhill, who is like a scientist. He's kind of like this experimental scientist, and he works in the zoological department, and he's basically trying to create mythical creatures, like bring mythical creatures to life. So like the basilisk and the griffin, which is like a half bird, half lion kind of creature, and he's kind of obsessed by it. It's something that's really consuming his life, and when you first read from his perspective, you kind of get this sense like he's this kind of crazy scientist guy, and you're like, okay, this is going to get really weird, this story. But it is a weird story, but it kind of takes another turn as well. So you know, very early on it says on the back of the book that you're following Nathan and his wife and their son. You're following their family dynamic and how, you know, the struggles between being passionate about your work and also trying to balance family life, that kind of a thing. But his wife is very, very supportive of him. She's also a doctor, but she doesn't work, you know, with mythological creatures. She's just an ordinary doctor, but she believes in his work because the reasoning behind him wanting to bring these creatures back to life is he believes by bringing mythical creatures back to life they can find cures to modern day illnesses, or illnesses like incurable diseases and illnesses that people have, you know, like cancer and MS and that kind of a thing. They believe they can develop basically cures for people, and he's very, very, like I said, he's very passionate about his work, but also a little bit crazy. And something happens to his wife Grace, which makes him basically push even harder. Like he's trying and he's trying and he's not being successful, and then something bad happens to his wife and he basically needs to find a cure. So it then becomes him and his son are kind of having a race against time, and it becomes more of a bonding thing. There's lots of character development in this story, because normally I find with Graham Masterton's books, I really, really enjoy the plots and the stories, but sometimes the characters can be a little bit underdeveloped and there's not much to them. But the amount of character development from Nathan in this book, I really, really enjoyed. I wasn't expecting it. You end up really, really rooting for him and his son, because him and his son have a difficult relationship, and it starts off with them kind of battling a little bit, and then obviously when the bad thing happens to Grace, they have to team up and basically work together to try and save her and have this kind of like bonding moment, and it was really nice. So yeah, the character development I found was really, really good in this book. Like I said, it was definitely a 5 out of 5. The story was really interesting. I find his stories to always be quite unique. It takes turns you don't expect, so I really like diving into his books and just going along with the plot and going along with the craziness. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. if you're a fan of Graham Masterton, I definitely recommend this book. Like I said, it was one of my favourites. I thought the character development was great, the storyline was great. I don't know if this is going to be a series either, because I know Graham Masterton has written a few books that have been in series. I don't know if these characters are going to pop up in any other of his books, but obviously I'm going to read more of his works because I'm kind of working my way through his books. He's becoming one of those authors where I'm just going to end up picking up everything by him. So yeah, that's kind of like the books he's written, and he's written quite a few. So as you can see, there are series, and those are his standalones, and then he's done a few series. But yeah, I'm definitely picking up more by this author. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would highly recommend. He always writes really weird, really interesting horror. I didn't find this one too graphic. I felt like some of his other books were more graphic. But yeah, the characters in this were great, and the story was super interesting. If you're into like mythological creatures as well, I think this would be a really good one to pick up. I didn't find it particularly scary. I would say some of his other works are a bit more like gruesome and scary. This one I was more, it felt more like a race for time. It felt more like a fast-paced kind of book. It had more of a thriller aspect, I would say, than horror, because there are creatures in this. I didn't find the creatures particularly horrifying, but it was the fact that they were obviously running out of time to try and save his wife. That was the horror aspect for me, and you really want them to succeed and you don't know where it's going, and it's like the good guys versus the bad guys, and yeah, you're just really rooting for them throughout the whole story. And it's interesting because at the beginning of the book I kind of got the sense that Nathan, because he comes across as this crazy scientist guy, you don't really know which way he's gonna go in the book. Like is he gonna end up being a hero, or is he gonna end up being just a real like crazy scientist guy? Is he gonna go like full out, you know, hell-bent on these creatures? You just don't know. So yeah, it was a really, really interesting read. Great ending. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say. I don't like going too in-depth into Graham Masterton stories because I don't want to give stuff away, and I think sometimes it's nicer going into his books not knowing everything that's going to be happening in the story. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say, I think, on this book. But big thumbs up, definite 5-star. Would highly recommend if you are a Graham Masterton fan. This is definitely one to check out. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Have you ever read any of his books? If you have, what's your favourite one by him so far? This might actually be, I might even like this more than The House of 100 Whispers. And I really enjoyed that one. That was the first book I ever read by him. And that was up there as one of my favourites. But I might even like this one a little bit more. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop rambling. And as always, thank you for watching. Until next time. Bye guys.